On behalf of Class 15 from the Executive MBA program at UTSA, I would like to welcome you to a brief but powerful overview of organizational frames. The 4 organizational frames are based on the work of Lee Bowman and Terence Steele, originally published in 1984 under the title Reframing Organizations. The book is currently in its 4th edition and published in 2008 under the same name. This presentation is designed to create an awareness of the 4 organizational frames and supply you with some simple tools for applying these within your own organization. So why are frames important? Frames are present in every organization regardless of size, purpose, or market. In a study completed by Dunford and Palmer, 56% of respondents upon learning the frames said they would have handled a past situation more effectively, and 90% felt it gave them a competitive advantage. Leaders are not given a how-to guide for their organizations, so they develop navigational maps in their heads. With these maps, key information is gathered, then translated into a context that is understandable and actionable. However, is this information obtained real or perceived? Have historical or other influence biased this information? The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but having new eyes. Now that your mild curiosity has turned into eager anticipation, let me introduce the 4 frames. We think of frames as a set of lenses that enable you to more clearly see, understand, and navigate situations. So without further ado, the 4 frames, as defined by Bowman and Deal, are structural, human resources, political, and symbolic. The structural frame represents more of a classic organizational design filled with org charts, definitions, formal roles and responsibilities, all designed to remove personal influence and optimize job performance. Rational decisions are the core of this frame as it attempts to experiment, evaluate, and implement new structure. In this clip, we listen to Steve Jobs discuss how Apple is structured.
One of the keys to Apple is Apple's an incredibly collaborative company. And so, you know how many committees we have at Apple?
No.
0. We have no committees.
No committee.
We are organized like a startup. One person's in charge of iPhone OS software. One person's in charge of Mac hardware. One person's in charge of iPhone hardware engineering. Another person's in charge of worldwide marketing. Another person's in charge of operations. We're organized like a startup. We're the biggest startup on the planet. And we all meet for 3 hours once a week, and we talk about everything we're doing, the whole business. And there's tremendous teamwork at the top of the company, which filters down to tremendous teamwork throughout the company. And teamwork is dependent on trusting the other folks to come through with their part without watching them all the time, but trusting that they're going to come through with their parts. And that's what we do really well.
Our next frame is the human resource frame. This frame focuses on the employee and attempts to align human and organizational requirements to create mutually satisfying relationships. It looks at how individuals are empowered to make decisions based on a belief system that has been clearly communicated, shared, and accepted. From this frame, employers see their employees as their competitive advantage and go through great lengths to recruit and retain talent. The following clip is an example of a human resource frame and demonstrates the conflict where employees are treated as numbers.
We're still at least 75 short. What about Deborah Hayes, Senior Director of Accounting and Maritime Sales?
Deborah Hayes has 10 years with the company and outstanding evaluations.
She also has a husband with a successful law practice and 2 kids who will be delighted to have mommy at home.
She's 60. I doubt her kids are still living at home, much less calling her mommy. Phil Woodward's back on this list.
He fits the criteria.
Wasn't talking to you, Dick.
He's grossly overpaid and just blew a $500.
Dad, shut up!
The list is still preliminary, Gene.
I'm looking, and all I see are people who are over 50 with enough young ones thrown in to protect us against litigation.
No, I'm confident that all of these dismissals will stand up to outside legal scrutiny.
What about ethical scrutiny?
We're not breaking any laws, Gene.
I guess I always assumed we were trying for a higher standard than that, Paul.
The political frame involves the realistic process of making decisions and allocating resources in a context of limited and divergent interests. Setting agendas, networking, building coalitions, and negotiating are key elements of this frame. In any organization, a variety of groups with varying agendas and interests exist. In reality, there will not be enough resources for everyone to get what they want, and that will create organizational conflict. Leaders must figure out how to manage and steer workplace politics towards positive and productive ends. The symbolic frame is our final frame. It focuses on culture, rituals, organizational history and stories, and heroes and myths that give meaning and inspiration to our work. Symbolic leaders seek to use the best in their organization's tradition and values as a basis for building a culture that provides cohesiveness and meaning. In the following clip, Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz discusses the importance of Starbucks maintaining their values even through difficult times.
I've been criticized over the years for strongly believing that building shareholder value and making money is a pretty shallow goal if it's not linked to creating value for your people and giving back to the community. Starbucks' greatest strength over our 40-year history has been the relationship we have with our people. In the book, I talk about the fact that if you strongly believe in your core purpose when things were going right, then you certainly have to believe in it and depend on it when things perhaps are most challenging. I didn't want to transform the company and succeed financially and then wake up one day and realize somewhere along the line we lost the values, the guiding principles of the company. And so what I'm most proud of is the fact that we've returned it to record revenue and profitability. At the same time, we've preserved without question the culture and values of the company.
In the beginning, we stated our goal was simply to create an awareness of the four frames and provide you with the tools for employing these within your organization. Employing the four frames can be difficult, as many of the decisions that impact the daily and long-term aspects of an organization are often influenced by very unique and dynamic variables. We understand this, so we have provided a summary of the four frames and their characteristics to act as a reminder. We hope that this simple prompt will enable you to view the full picture of the issues and opportunities you may face. Asking questions is another way to help you understand how to apply the frames. What type of structure nurtures our passions and fulfills the needs of our internal and external stakeholders? How can organizations that value employee needs and well-being maintain these values through times of crisis and harmony? What conditions must exist to strengthen the group and encourage new relationships and information sharing? How can we get the mission, vision, and value off the posters on the wall and into the souls of everyone in the organization? We understand that the material covered in this presentation is complex and that implementation in any organization can take time. We know this because we are you. One of the students responsible for this presentation works for your organization. So as an added bonus, and to further enforce the four frames, we have provided our own brief thoughts on what we've learned about reframing organizations and reframing our own point of view.
Removing prejudice and influence can create powerful relationships and results. All we need is a belief system that is connected and shared.
Respectful and appreciative dialogue creates possibilities for change.
Organizations must actively engage employees in both formal and informal settings to maximize their true potential.
The structural frame is an important starting point, but the adept leader must leverage all 4 frames to develop insights and solutions for the organization.
We should be spending less effort on creating timelines and elaborate plans and more time on creating conditions in which people can work together. The potential in any organization is only as great as their ability to create and sustain meaningful relationships.
Thank you, and in closing, we leave you with one final statement that we think sums up many of the thoughts we shared with you today. No problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it.